Well, hello everyone. I'm super excited today because we have as a table talk guest on F7 Building Blocks for Freedom, the wonderful Ishani Nigam. And today's F is fun. And so yes, we are going to be playing this as part of the 10-year anniversary for Imagineering to a Better World. Some of you may actually recognize Ishani. And I know that especially when we were in Sydney, you would have known probably half the people there, which would have been so lovely if you had been able to join live. But for those of you who don't know, I think it'd be lovely just to share, first of all, how did we meet? How have you been involved with the Imagineering to a Better World project? And welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me over here, Catherine. I think I was pretty active on LinkedIn and I sort of vocalized my want to kind of work with people and kind of gain the experience because I was doing my master's back then at the University of Melbourne, and I saw your post on LinkedIn that you're looking for volunteers in content creation, marketing. I'm like, yes, that sounds like a good idea. Let's connect with Catherine. I think that's where we hit it off from there.
Yep. And it was absolutely amazing because those of you who have been around for a while, you're starting to see there's such a depth with Imagineering and there's all different aspects to it. And so we went through the volunteer intern process and expression of interest, and it was not an easy thing. We actually had 3 different levels and tasks to do, and Ishani was just amazing and it was just so lovely. So by the time she was actually already, by the time she was chosen and working with us, she'd already shown she'd spent quite a few hours going through, and we were just so excited to have her on board. So yeah. And did you want to share a few of the things that you were doing with us?
Yes, of course. And just before I answer that, I'd like to kind of touch upon what you just mentioned, the process. Even from the point of view of someone being onboarded, I felt like that was very professional. That gave me a good insight of the kind of work I will be doing, but also the processes and the culture that I will be having and the relationship that I'll be having with you. That was a very good reflection of that. And it just made me feel that you took your work seriously and that it would be a very good platform for me to learn something. So thank you for having that process in. Coming to your question, I think I helped you. There was a lot of freedom for sure to do what I could with my skills. Primarily, I think I worked on designing I think the banners and the posters and doing a bit of EDMs on MailChimp that I remember. It was my very first experience, and thank you for your patience, Catherine, over there. Very lovely to, I think, bounce off ideas to you. And I think I also did an online event, sort of organized an event, did a bit of one of the podcast episodes I was hosting. So yeah, that was quite all very interesting. And I think within the field that I was really interested in back then.
Yeah, yeah. And it was I'll just go through and just give a few more details. We actually just might do a screen share. You forgot one really important one, and it was, let's have a look. So
No,
let's do
I
a
wanted
share
you to
screen.
share it. Just kidding.
So this one,
Oh,
this
yeah.
one. Yeah, tell the people about this one.
Oh man, yeah, this was a very, very good experience. I had never designed a book cover that was legitimately going to be published. So it was a very new experience for me. There was a really nice collaboration happening with the illustrator on board, which was Hikaru. And
Nariki.
sorry,
Nariki.
Nari. I worked with very lovely people over here, but that's been long. So please excuse
Mm,
me for that. But it
it
was,
has been.
yes.
You're doing really well. I'm amazed you remember so much.
But yeah, it was extremely exciting to collaborate with Nariki on his vision of how he wants to, take the illustrations, and Catherine's vision of what she's looking for in terms of the book. It was a book for kids, to help them understand what it is all about, for a better future. And I think she had very interesting message down there in a very simple and a very interesting animated characters that we had, made for this particular book. So I designed the cover with the help of the team, and also, kind of placed the book, to design the book. I think I used InDesign, if I'm not wrong. And the entire process of, getting it through the publisher, which I think Catherine took care of that. But yeah, it was one really interesting experience. To be honest, I was really skeptical, and I was like, should I not? I've never done this. But thanks to Catherine, that she really showed that, I would really say, that trust and faith in me, that you can do it, let's try and do it. So yeah, and it was a very good experience. Thanks.
Thank you. And it was awesome. Ishani, I had her liaising with our printer, obviously Dareki as the illustrator, and then obviously with you were also collaborating with Hikairo at one stage, and even Pratibha, because Ishani was the online host of the book launch of Ash and the Midas Touch. And she also wrote some episodes. She was a guest, but she was also a guest podcaster, a guest interviewer on the Women's Wisdom Through the Ages. So she was really, really active for about 5 months with Imagineering. And it was just such a pleasure to have her. And I'm super excited because I would like you to share what you have, like, what are you most known for? Because Ishani is actually, she's gone from strength to strength. I mean, I was so impressed when she even applied to do like volunteer intern. Obviously, I paid her professionally when she was doing the graphic design, and that's what we always try and do, come alongside people and, help train them up with different things and mentoring. However, it's also about being able to value people by paying them to actually take on the projects. But I'm super excited because there's a lot of people that would see you as really quite famous now. So I would like you to share what it is that you do. And also, just one thing I love about Ishani, no matter what she's doing, it's always fun. So I love that. So can you share about why most people might recognize you these days?
Thank you so much. I think that's really kind of you to say all these things. I think I'm still on my journey to make it in my understanding. But I think what Catherine is addressing right now is, I produce and host a podcast called My First Step Ever. And it started off in my last semester when I was doing my master's. And I just felt the need. COVID had just hit, set in or hit in. I don't know how to say that, but I really wanted the youth to understand that there is a lot that goes behind the making of anyone who becomes successful, in whatever terms they like to define success. But there are several failures. There is a lot of ifs and buts and the challenges that one faces. That is never, talked about. What is glorified is the success part of it. And I wanted the youth, especially the students migrating to different countries, to kind of hear such stories from people who have done that in different sectors, in different industries, be it a CEO or be an executive or global keynote speaker, or an aspiring entrepreneur, or a stay-at-home mom, an entrepreneur, anyone from any field. Whatever they wanted as success in their own words, how did they reach to that point was very important, because it's very important to instill the conviction in yourself of what you believe that you can do. The number 3, I think, top 3 mistakes that we always make. The first thing is that we compare ourselves with everyone. The second thing is, we fear failure. And the third thing is the imposter syndrome. So I wanted to kind of combat these things and put in front of the youth and tell them, hey, it's okay wherever you are in your journey. Things happen to everyone, and there are ways to, follow your path with actionable steps. So that's where our podcast started. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've been really enjoying that and just completed 100 episodes.
Yes, it's so exciting. And how many people would watch an episode, or how many people are signed up, or what's the sort of some of the stats you've got now?
It's quite good. I think with Spotify generating my stats last year, I had such a good growth. It just showed, I mean, on my website, if you can see, it had 175% growth in listens, which was really, really interesting. And around the world, I would say this podcast is being broadcasted and actively people listen, maybe between to 15 to 20 odd countries.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
the age group that's really, really been benefited is from 20 to 20 to like early 30s, and then
Mhm.
from 40s to like mid 50s. So
Okay.
it's doing very well. Yeah, so
Yeah,
far.
yeah.
But yeah, there is always scope for improving. The goal is that even if it reaches one person or two-person and they kind of make something out of it, because I have received a couple of people writing back to me, a few of them, that it really helped them. So yeah, that's the main aim of it.
Yeah, and I've even had people contact me who have been on your podcast who heard me, you interviewing me. And also, I just remembered that you probably don't know this, but on Pratibha's, so Pratibha, you probably remember, it was at her office that we had the book launch of Ash and the Midas Touch, and Pratibha joined us for the face-to-face a few weeks ago, which was awesome. And she is the head of a group called Powerful and Empowered Women's. So I've been involved in that more so in the first year or two, but I don't know if it's still there. But I know that the interview where you were interviewing me as part of the Women's Wisdom Through the Ages, that was actually on the homepage of Women's Wisdom. Sorry, of the Powerful and Empowered Women's. So you never know where things sort of turn up. And so you probably would be known, quite well known, even through that group as well. And
I,
that's an older demographic again, usually.
I mean, I feel really nice to hear that. I mean, these conversations, they reach, if they're reaching the right people,
Hmm.
and we are, because ultimately we are a community helping other people, empowering them to be what they really are. I mean, that was the aim. So if it's happening this way, I'm so happy to hear
Hmm.
that. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
yeah. And I thought I'll share that on like while we're talking, because that's always, it's encouraging, I find. Yeah, because sometimes it's like we're doing things, especially when we're online. It's like, oh, is anyone watching? Or, most of the time we can keep being really positive. And that's something else I wanted to share with people. When you were over here, where were you when COVID first struck?
Melbourne, all by myself in a studio apartment.
And tell people, so not everybody would know how is Melbourne so famous to do with that year?
I think it was the city that had the longest running lockdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, not very, I mean, it was definitely challenging.
Yeah, and you did so well. And as we're going through like the 10 years of Imagineering, 2020 was blockbuster for Imagineering because there were so many new projects that are still all ongoing, but they all started then
Awesome.
because there was work challenges, so most of us weren't working as much or all those things. So, and I know that you did the same, that you were just, it was so tough for you. You couldn't even go out, or it was, new country and you weren't with your family, and, you just did so well. And so that was just so lovely to see.
Yeah, I remember around that time, because I just graduated and I kind of kept continuing podcasts, but I was looking for some more work and probably in the marketing field or production field, something really like nothing was coming by that time. But then I was like, why not I work in a store, which was just across my building? But then it was a high risk time and I used to live all by myself. But I had to take that risk, that challenge to also kind of earn my living at that point in time. And it went on for pretty long. It felt like it is never going to end. But now that you're saying, I reflect back on that time, it was challenging, but I think it has instilled a sense of confidence in me, that by saying this, what I mean is I know that I can fall back on myself. And I
Mm.
know for a lot of people who have done that around that time, that they know that they're much stronger than what they thought they were. So I think we should celebrate that, all of us.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I saw you doing lots of fun things recently. You got to catch up with your family.
Yes. Oh, that was so good.
So, do you want to share just a little bit, maybe some highlights from that trip?
Yes, of course. Why not? I mean, everyone loves to spend a family time. I went to India after 3.5 years. I went back. So it was just a 3-week trip, but I wanted to pack as much fun and whatever I could in that amount of time. So I visited Delhi, I visited Mumbai, Pune, Lonavala. So Lonavala is like a hill station.
Mm-hmm.
I went there in a resort with some of my relatives, and we danced. I love dancing. I'm a Bollywood dancer, so we danced, we ate. I did a lot of adventure sports as well, which was available to me that time.
Yep.
And I met my grandparents. It was such a good feeling to meet them, to sit with the family, cook with the family, tease your cousins, and have fun. You spend some time with your younger cousins, and they share their heart with you, their problems, their challenges, and just to see that you're able to you're equipped in a way that you can mentally and emotionally support them. So I think that was really nice. All in all, it was a really, really good trip, and I celebrated my birthday over there. It was a barbecue birthday, and surprisingly, one of my relatives, he had a crack. I don't know what you call over here. You just light it up and then you play with that.
Mm-hmm. A sparkler.
Yeah, a sparkler. We
Mm-hmm.
call it fuljhadi in Hindi.
Okay.
So there was sparkler, and it's like that's just me. These things make me happy. So yeah, it was
Mm-hmm.
a nice place.
Yeah, beautiful. And you've also had something else happening recently where we've also been seeing you doing lots of fun things in a new location. So you're not living in Melbourne anymore.
No, I'm not. But I've moved to Adelaide, and I have just started working in a startup called My Gigsters.
Hmm.
So they help the self-employed, freelance, and sole trader, the gig economy, with simplifying their tax needs by finding those tax deductions and everything in like
Hmm.
minutes, and
Hmm. Okay.
supporting them end to end. So that's one thing. And the other thing that I am starting off soon is with HEX, which is for education for youth. I'm starting as a community outreach officer, so something coming up for international students and
Wow.
students in
Okay.
Adelaide.
And that's something that Ishani's done really well because when I first understood what my first steps ever is this the right way to say it? My first steps ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look it up. It's on Spotify. It's on whatever. Where else?
Spotify, Google, Apple, and the rest of the channels, whichever you have. But these are like the
Yep.
main channels that you
Yep.
can, yeah.
Okay. Yep. But I remember that when you were first, you're doing your first 20, 30, 40, whatever, it seemed to me mostly suited towards especially international students. And I actually referred other people on to watch it or different things. I've been an international student as well, and it can be tough. And
Yeah.
so it was just so lovely that you've been doing that and the people that you've been interviewing, like it's actually some amazingly very successful people in different countries, men and women, all different ages. I'm sure there's been dignitaries in there. It's been a really mixed bag.
Yes.
So it's just been wonderful to see. So we're just so happy that you had time even to come on today. So we're so excited that you were able to come back and I'm sure all of you can see that Ishani is fun. And
I
and
hope I've done something like that.
and I would say that when we were having our meetings and everything, to me, it has to be fun. it's, to me, yes, for me, I love, coming alongside young people. And so it's also that mentoring part where it's challenging. Like I knew Shani hadn't done it, but she did it amazing. And especially with the front of the book, she did it like a genius cap.
Yeah.
And so that was a really different style, which I hadn't thought of. So I was like, wow, that works really good. And the inside of the book, she did all of the graphic design for that. And it's just been so lovely to just see your journey as you're going along, and even your posts on LinkedIn. If you haven't looked at Shani up on LinkedIn, do check her out on that as well. And yeah, are you still doing your coffees with people?
Yes, now that's gone a bit offline because I like to do this now in person.
But that's good.
Because, yeah, because I think I want to have that feeling of, sitting down with someone, chatting, looking through their eyes and
Yeah, yeah.
speaking. But I mean, that's a good idea actually to maybe get back online,
Yeah,
probably.
even just once a month or something, and doing your coffees, because I know you used to tell me that you were doing them and you just love them. So
Yes,
yeah. So
definitely.
and just coming back to how you were helping with Imagineering, how did that experience help you or in any way, or would you recommend other people do it perhaps?
Yes, of course. To begin with, I think that was one of my first experiences to work in Australia. So a very good one, touch wood, very luckily, because I think I worked with Catherine. And one thing that really helped me, I think, be myself over here was the flexibility that Catherine provided me to just do what you like. And then we had a, more like a collaborative process of, kind of chatting through, brainstorming, and then going to the next stage. So there was freedom and then there was collaboration, which I really like. So I definitely recommend any student or anyone, even if not a student, or who really wants to, whatever age you are, age is not a big thing in life. I really, really feel that. Sometimes people make you feel that you can only learn at a particular age. But even if you're 40, 50, 60, wherever you are, if you started to like a particular, field, or you have an inclination to learn something, you can volunteer your time. And what can be better than Imagineering to a better world, because it is for a purpose. And I always used to reinforce this to Catherine as well. The reason I wanted to be is because whatever my efforts are, it is going towards a purpose, which is very noble. So yes, 100%. Whoever is listening to this, watching this, if you really want to volunteer and learn something with good people, this is a very good start.
Great, thank you. And it's interesting that you said about the ages. We've had a lot, even as I'm preparing everything over the last 10 years and going back. One year, I think we had five interns, like all at different times. They were doing different tasks and different things. And I think the oldest person that we had for, a length of time was, in the 60s, but we've had people in all different ages. Like we showed a video the other day of someone that was only like 18 at the time. And so it's just been so much fun reflecting back and going forward. And so it's so exciting. And so we'll have to invite Ishani to come on for perhaps another women's wisdom, and we can look at a particular issue that you'd like to talk about, because with the women's wisdom through the ages, it's not only looking at the women and perhaps their organisation or initiative that they're working on, but we also brainstorm and ways to overcome a particular issue in society. And
Yes, yes.
so, yeah, and I love it with Ishani because, like I said, there's always that fun component. And so it was just such a pleasure. So, and thank you so much for coming on today. And it's just been so lovely to see you again. And you're always welcome. And one day we'll actually finally meet up in person.
Yes, I can't believe we haven't met in person.
Yeah,
Just
it's hilarious.
before we wrap up, I just
Yeah,
wanted
yeah, yeah.
to say, Catherine, that you're doing a really good job, because, you know, pulling off something for 10 years is not an easy job. You are putting in your efforts and you're honest and you're consistent, because there are ups and downs through the journey, which I've also faced through the journey that I'm taking. And I think I really relate with what you're doing. Standing up every day, getting up in the morning, doing what you believe in, even if you face failures, and you've been doing that consistently from like 10 years, and you've got so many people on board at different point in time. This is a huge success for you to reach this milestone. So congratulations to you on
Thank
all
you.
efforts. Kudos to you.
Thank you. That's awesome, because it's especially when people who have been through similar journeys, although not as long yet, but it's we know. It's like when someone says, "Oh, just another author, you wrote a book." And I'm like, actually, it's not that straightforward, and there's so many different processes which you learn. And also, that was the last thing I was going to mention today. The way that Ishani has set up her podcast, I have a challenge for you. I'm going to plant a little seed. When I look at, like, you've probably heard of the book Think and Grow Rich, or How to Win Friends and Influence People, perhaps. These are like classic books. And with those people, the stories behind them was that they were like reporter personalities, where they would speak to people, they would ask all the questions. How were you successful? What did you do? But then they all went on and they wrote their own books. So
Mm.
that's my challenge to you, Ishani. Have a think about writing your own book.
I
I think,
haven't forgotten that. I remember you mentioned that long back as well. Yeah, maybe. I'll think of
yeah,
it. It's really nice. If you
yeah,
have thought of a book, I think I'm more of a person, audiovisual kind of a person, and meet in person, talk to you sort of a person, but it's never too late, or it's always good to
yeah.
try out new things. So I will think of that. And thank you so much for the suggestion.
Okay, well, lovely to see you. Okay,
Yeah. Bye.
bye.